chapel trail open. This is the way to go from the visitor center down to tour the chapel. And it's wheelchair access friendly. And down there they have the wheelchair races. Alright, just kidding. But it would be cool. An awesome view on the hike to the chapel. This is one of the first lookouts on the trail to the chapel. There's a lot of Douglas firs along the way. And then they like to tout their support of wildlife. You can see the big turkeys. That's what I saw earlier. This is a nice view over Colorado Springs. You just don't see as many buildings because it's the northern part. There's not as many buildings to see. Nice view of Kansas though. A lot of the trash cans have latches. That's to keep the bears out. The bears. So this is the clinical looking 50s, 60s architectural design. What do they call it? Postmodern or something? Oh, and the cathedral is still under construction. I wonder if I'll be able to tour it. They go through thousands of pounds of peanut butter? I can't even go through one jar. And I like this stuff. This is one of my favorite views on this trail. It's a short little trail. Not even 1/16 of a mile probably. See that spiny antenna thing there? That's what I think it is. Antennas. Interesting. Creative. This gives you a better perspective of the barracks that the cadets live in. Interesting thing, the first 2 years a cadet is here, they don't have to commit to serving. But if they go junior and senior year, they have to serve or pay back the, $200,000 for tuition? Give them their house, I guess. This is called the cocoon. It covers the cathedral until they're done renovating it, restoring it. Leaking damage. Just so you know, the cathedral may not be viewable until 2027 because of the renovations. Freshman cadets are called doules, which means slave in Greek. So one of the reasons the cathedral is not going to be viewable till 2027 when all the renovations are complete, they discovered more asbestos in the site. And that always makes cleanup complicated. Here's a view of some of the parade grounds and a couple aircraft. Museum-like. I had assumed that the chapel would be open by now, but I guess even their original estimate was 2024 until they found that additional asbestos. Here we have additional parade grounds by the chapel and additional housing and classrooms. Oh, we got a Black Hawk coming in. I recognize the sound of that propeller. The other one I put that I thought might be Black Hawk, 2 helicopters, they didn't sound like Black Hawks though. There's a lot of memorials in this parade grounds here. World War I vets. I used to have a model of this when I was a little kid. P-38 F4 F5 Lightning Memorial. P-51 Mustang. World War II and the Korean conflict. Why did they call a war a conflict? Kind of like Putin calls the Ukraine-Russian war a special operation. Women Air Force pilots. You know, we brought one in from Afghanistan who was a C-130 pilot. They didn't treat her very well in the Afghan Air Force, so we brought her into our Air Force and she was already trained and ready to go. C-46 Commando Memorial. The B-24 Liberator. The B-29 Super Fortress. The world's finest World War II very heavy bomber. Now this is a big hunk of metal, but the front end of a Super Fortress was all clear so you could see everywhere, which is pretty cool until you get shot at up there. It's not quite so cool. Center for Character and Leadership Development. That object in front, the trapezoid, which is basically a pyramid without the capstone, is called the North Star. And that's where the cadets start. Well, I guess the North Star isn't quite exactly a pyramid, it's a trapezoid wedge. I was wrong about that. Down below, we've got some nice fountains all the way up to Arnold Hall. West Air Terrace. And then in the distance there, we've got some more great hiking trails. And I think that's Falcon Rock right there, where you see the outcropping of giant rocks. I really like the marble throughout the whole area, kind of guiding your path. Also on the premises is this geodesic dome. It looks like a space observatory of some sort. I'll have to check on that when I get closer. Okay, I did a fact check. It's a planetarium, not a planetary observatory. So this is the eastern view and the athletic center. Lots of fields to practice lacrosse on, and football and soccer and everything else. Okay. Hear that propeller roar. Look at all those tennis courts. And other stuff too. This is on the east side of the Air Force Academy Sports Center. On the east side, we've got more fountains. So this is the parade grounds I mentioned before that I saw them marching out on. Nothing today, but I got other stuff that I didn't see before that I didn't see last time I was here. So that's kind of what it's like touring the Air Force Academy. You never know what you can get unless you call ahead. The Air Force is more than 70 years old now. 75 this year. So the Air Force Academy was commissioned by Dwight D. Eisenhower by the act of the 83rd Congress in 1954. You can get tours just about every half hour. Okay, so about every hour they do a tour.